U.S. President Donald Trump has declared a tremendous day for the Middle East after a landmark Gaza ceasefire declaration was signed in Egypt. The agreement, backed by Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the U.S., follows a dramatic prisoner exchange. Hamas freed the last 20 hostages held in Gaza, while Israel released nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Speaking in Israel and later at the summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Trump called the deal, quote, the end of a painful nightmare, end quote. The joint declaration pledges peace and rebuilding in Gaza, but notably avoids mentioning a one or two state solution. For more on this, I'm joined by our senior international correspondent and anchor, Afua Hagan. Afua, truly indeed a day like never before. Can you tell us what's the latest on the hostages that were released earlier on today?
A monumental day yesterday where we saw, firstly, the living hostages, the 20 living Israeli hostages that were left in Gaza being released in two parts, if you will, 7 released and then 13 released. We also had, almost 2,000 hostages, captives, prisoners that were released in Israel, Palestinian prisoners being reunited with their families. Also, we saw the bodies of 4 hostages that were taken on October 7th that died in captivity released yesterday. There is thought to be 28 people that died in captivity whose bodies were to be released. So that leaves 23. Now, that leaves 24. Now, those bodies should have been released all at the same time. That was what was in the ceasefire deal. So some Israeli families very upset today and angry and shocked, actually, that those bodies were not released with the first 4. Now, Hamas acknowledging perhaps that they don't know where all those bodies are. Other proxy forces may have taken control of them. And also remember the huge destruction that has occurred in Gaza. Lots of those bodies may have been lost under the rubble. So that continues, that process, and it may be a long, painful process over the coming days and months to bring the bodies of those remaining 24 hostages back to Israel so they can be properly buried.
Right. Now, Trump is in Egypt with various world leaders at this peace summit. What can we expect to hear from there today?
Well, Trump was in Egypt. That peace summit took place yesterday in Sharm el-Sheikh. We had that speech that he gave at the Israeli parliament. And then we have Trump speaking at this peace summit. Notable, perhaps, that the Iranian delegation weren't in attendance. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel wasn't in attendance either. You had 20 world leaders from across the world in attendance. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the French President Emmanuel Macron was there. Some sort of peace deal was signed, but without Israel present, without Iran present, what does it actually mean? I think it was more about optics and the mood music that came out of Sharm el-Sheikh, a place that has been notable for bringing these kind of peace deals together. Trump yesterday on Air Force One, declaring that war is over in Gaza, talking about the future, about phase 2, about what happens now in the Gaza Strip. And really that is the question. What happens now in Gaza? What happens in this phase 2? Are we in phase 2 of the ceasefire? We have never got to phase 2, always phase 1, and then the ceasefire is broken. Trump seems to think that we are in phase 2, and what does that mean? Well, that means IDF troops retreating to a certain point. In Gaza, that means the flow of aid increasing, which it has done, although it will take time for the aid to get to all the places it needs to get to. You've got cooking gas going into Gaza. You've got supplies, more than just the basic supplies, going into Gaza as well. And then, of course, there's the conversations about the future of a Palestinian state. We're not quite there yet. This phase is about getting the aid into Gaza, about troops retreating, and then rebuilding Gaza, which obviously is a huge operation.
Well, and we just wait to see, what the outcome of this peace summit will be at the end of today, but most importantly, the future of Gaza. Afua, thank you so much for coming on. Afua Hagan is our senior international correspondent and anchor here at News Central.